21st, 2020, Orrin and Orson West, also known as Classic and Cinsere, were first reported missing in California City by their adoptive parents, Cinsere and Jacqueline West. Days after that time, the West parents telling 23 ABC they understand that people would accuse them of the disappearance.
And that's understandable.
What's your response to that?
That's understandable. I would think the same thing.
And the Cal City Police Chief John Walker assuring the community his department was looking for clues day in and day out at the start of the investigation.
We're just trying to dig up any clues that we can possibly find to find out where they had gone and also to confirm that they're not in the backyard.
The disappearance prompting a massive search effort involving not only Cal City Police, but the Bakersfield Police Department, the FBI, and the community. Then month after month, the community rallied together for searches, marches, and vigils, all to find the boys.
Where are the boys? No boys, no beats! Where are the boys? No boys, no beats!
And reward money for information and the return of the boys continued to grow in 2021 as local businesses, community members, and a private investigator joined the search efforts for the boys.
There was some elements that stood out about the foster families' interviews that pretty much compelled me to participate and come out and do what we could to help find both of these boys.
Billboards with the boys' faces and the rewards started to appear in February 2021 in Kern County. But after 8 weeks, Cal City Police confirmed they have no suspects in the case. And March 1st, 2021, the Bakersfield Police Department officially took over the case. They continued the search in Cal City and Southeast Bakersfield for the boys, issuing a search warrant to the adoptive grandparents and more than 20 more search warrants in the case. It wasn't until June 2021, BPD gave an update on the case, announcing 170 items have been seized, 83 individuals have been interviewed, 44 search warrants have been conducted, 16 mass area searches have been done, 3 searches outside of California, and 200 plus tips have been received and followed up on. But still, the boys have not been located. Then month after month, the community continued to come together with prayer vigils and hoping for answers for the boys. But December, nearly 1 year after they were first reported missing, BPD provided an update saying since June, they executed 4 more search warrants, interviewed 33 more people, conducted 11 mass area searches, and 4 out-of-state searches. During the 1-year anniversary, we spoke to the biological family who said they just want answers.
Some kind of answers. It's been a year. We deserve something.
Yes.
That's. I mean, it's only right.
Orson's biological father saying regardless of the circumstances, he will always be here for the boys.
I still got them. They should know that I still love them, that I'm always going to have their backs regardless to the fact those are my kids. Like, you know, that's something that you'll miss in life that you can never get back.
Now, just 14 months after they were first reported missing, the Kern County grand jury indicted the adoptive parents, Cinsere and Jacqueline West, for the murder of Orrin and Orson West. They were arrested March 1st around 7 p.m. near Highway 58 in Enos Lane. Kern County District Attorney Cynthia Zimmer announcing the investigation unveils that the boys are dead. But Zimmer added that the bodies have not been found, and now the family is still searching for answers.
Question is now, where are the boys' bodies? We want to be able to bring them home and, give them a proper burial.
Now the big news tonight, and I think this is very telling and could give us some insight into some of the evidence in this case. The judges confirmed that a criminal protective order was granted in this case. What does that mean? It means that the judge, Chad A. Louie, granting a criminal protective order. Public wasn't allowed into all parts of the hearing, but local media that attended part of the Tuesday hearing reported that the protective order was to prevent the couple, the accused murderers, from contacting their biological and adopted children, the other 4 children. Reports also indicate that the prosecution's motion seeks to stop the parents from talking about the case with the kids or persuading or intimidating them. Are they going to be witnesses in this case? Is that possible? That one or more of the other 4 children in that home know something, saw something? Let me bring in tonight's guests. We've got a great panel tonight. In Los Angeles, California, retired FBI special agent and producer of Indivisible Healing Hate, which is streaming on Paramount Plus. Bobby Chacon is with us. In Chicago, Illinois, private investigator Erica Morse. In Lancaster, California, joining us by phone is Matthew Wallace from the AV News Crew channel on YouTube, AV Antelope Valley, where all this is happening. And in Denver, Colorado, reporter has been covering this case from the beginning and is now a reporter with our great affiliate KMGH. Denver 7, Bayan Wang is with us as well. Great to see everyone. Bayan, I want to get your reaction tonight to this development. The development that there's an order preventing these parents, these accused murderers of their two youngest children from contacting their other 4 children.
Yeah, I mean, to make it nice and short here, not surprised at all. I'm sure you're not surprised at all. I mean, prosecutors made it clear that they believe the adoptive parents induced one of the kids to commit or assist in the commission of one of the crimes. I believe it's for the willful cruelty crime. And from the early onset of this investigation, police took the kids away from the parents. I think it was a day or two since, the kids, Orrin and Orson, reported missing. The state took them and said, we're going to hold on to them during this investigation. We asked law enforcement early on, hey, why is that? California City Police Chief John Walker tried telling us that in these types of cases, this may be protocol on top of whether we found evidence of neglect or abuse for any of the other kids. So the fact that, a judge is granting this for, the parents not being able to see or talk to the other kids, not surprising at all.
Matthew Wallace, AV News Crew. Check out these videos. Unbelievable work you're doing out there, Matthew. Let me ask you, what do we know about the family, the children, did you ever talk to anyone out there who saw Orrin and Orson West in Cal City?
Well, a couple of the neighbors stated they saw children right after they moved into the location, but what they said was they couldn't guarantee it was the toddlers, but there were young children at that home. And originally it was stated something about moving in October, but then recently we were given information that they actually got the keys for that home on September 10th for the Cal City home.
September 10th, and that puts us in the time frame of when these murders allegedly occurred, according to the indictment. That's huge.
Yes.
Erica Morse, your thoughts about this development and these other 4 children that were in that home?
Well, you're dealing with minors who may be witnesses. You're dealing with minors who may have involuntarily assisted in aspects of this crime in order to preserve their own safety and save their own lives and the lives of their siblings. It is no surprise that we are at a point of a criminal protective order. It is no surprise that that everything is sealed regarding this case now, that there is a gag order in play. These are children, and these are children whose lives are completely uprooted and changed forever, and the level of trauma that exists now has to be dealt with in the long term. But also, children are so easily persuaded, and it makes no sense why the parents, both from the biological and the adoptive standpoint, were even allowed visits with these kids the moment they were removed from their care. I think that this should have been done initially, but I'm just glad that it's done.
Bobby Chacon, what does this tell you about what's going on?
Well, I think this tells me something that is common to these types of cases, and that is that the day these boys were deceased, were killed, as alleged in the charging instruments, is not the first time this story begins. I think there's going to be a pattern of abuse, a long-term running pattern of abuse of these 2 and maybe other children at a house, which is why they have to be protected, because they're going to be witnesses to that pattern of abuse that was taking place in that house. That pattern of abuse might have been already heard by the grand jury. Certainly, if they have that evidence, it will be heard by the jury at trial. So I think that this protective order is moving in that direction to say, we're going to tell a story here. The prosecution's going to tell the story of what was happening inside this house in the months and maybe even years prior to these murders taking place. So I think that in these cases, it is common that these children have witnessed a pattern of abuse that led up to and escalated to the murder of these two poor boys. And so I think that that's what the protective order helps, is to isolate the perpetrators from potential witnesses. You never really want that happening. And so I think it's I agree with Eric. I think it should have been done right away as soon as they were charged. But it's good that it's happened now.
Yeah, I'm looking at a picture of the parents. There they are. They were wearing masks that day when they gave that infamous press conference. I'm glad they did, though, because we got to hear them and judge them to a certain extent in terms of their story. Bayan Wang, the part of this story to me that I still don't get, and I've covered many cases where young children have died and parents have been accused, but it's usually one child. And when it's one child, the backup is always, it was some accident, right? It was something, but this is two children. It can't be an accident with two children.
Well, I mean, I guess that's what the big question is, and that's what the prosecution is going to have to prove. How that all ends up, I have no idea. Remember, there's still no bodies found in this case, but they cited direct circumstantial evidence that led them to believe that Orson and Orrin West are sadly no longer alive.
Matthew Wallace, and again, we have not found Orrin and Orson, right? They're still missing. They are somewhere. They're somewhere. They could be somewhere in that Cal City location. They could be in Bakersfield. We don't know. Tell me about on the ground in Cal City, the search, what the area is like, where people looked, how long these searches were, and things that you noticed along the way.
In regards to searching in the area for Cal City itself, the Cal City area, it's a very large small town, which means there's a small population, but a very large area. And it's mostly desert area. So, I mean, there's mines out in that area. There's little, there's a couple of small lakes close to there. And in regards to searching, people search for days and days and days. I mean, people are still searching. We went out to lakes. We walked rivers. But when you start looking at what's coming out nowadays, where do you really start? You have to start all over from the very beginning and try and go back actually a few months.
Yeah, expand on that. What do you mean?
Well, originally on December 21st of 2020, they were called in as missing children, okay? And now it's stated that the crimes actually happened back somewhere in the month of September. So now you have to grab everything and you have to try and go back and, I'm going to go back. I'm going to start talking to neighbors again because there were neighbors that did say that they heard what sounded to them as domestic violence coming from that home.
Wow.
In Cal City. But do we know that the boys were there? No, we do not know for sure that the boys were there. We don't know if the boys made it from Bakersfield to Cal City or not. Which, it leaves a very large opening. And it's been a very unusual case. Very unusual.
Absolutely.
Because it looks like there's a huge cover-up, is what it appears to be.
Erica Morse. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Finish, Matthew.
Oh no. I mean, with the adoptive family. I mean, even if you go back and you look at the videos, even after the boys went missing, Jacqueline's mother showed up with some other foster children to that home to visit.
Let me ask you, Erica Morse, because that kind of leads to my question: Is there any? I'm trying to get to why. I'm going to presume here they're presumed innocent, but if in fact prosecutors are correct that these parents murdered these children, is there any incentive to adopt a child and murder it? I don't understand why anyone would do that.
If you will remember my thoughts from our previous conversation on this case, I said it is time for us to stop paying foster parents. I firmly believe this. And Bobby and I know we agree on this subject. Children should not be transactional. And oftentimes when you see parents adopt children, their behaviors and their attitudes change. What they were once willing to tolerate, and I say that with air quotes, out of perhaps children with troubled backgrounds, traumatized children, children who have been victimized already and who have extreme behavioral disorders and issues. Those go from being a payday, so to speak, to a burden. And I have seen it too many times.
Who are you going to get to foster these kids? Exactly.
I think we lost our connection with him. There we just lost your connection there just for a moment. Go ahead. Finish.
Okay, so we have to stop making children transactional, and we need to start really doing further in-depth background checks, and I firmly believe psych evaluations on anyone who wants to be an adoptive parent.
Absolutely. Well, Brian Wang, we appreciate your time. I know you're busy out there in Denver, but we bring you on every time we do the story. You know it from the beginning. Matthew Wallace, thank you as well, Matthew. I know you're busy today, too. AV News Crew on YouTube. If you want more on this story, check them out as well. Erica and Bobby are staying with us because when we come back, we're going to open up tonight's unsolved case file. We'll be right back.
Newsy Tonight is changing the conversation.
Incredible footage coming in live right now.
Away from opinions and arguments.
Tell our viewers how people there are preparing for the next extreme weather event.
Primetime news focused on facts, understanding.
This is an investigation